What is up, everyone? Episode 10. We hit double digits, y'all. Episode 10 of the Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson. We have a special guest today. His name is Josh Leeper. He's joining us to just discuss all things sports, right? We're going to hit actually a lot on NBA today because there's a lot happening. Obviously, there was only 4 games of NFL last week, but don't you worry. We will break all of them down. Kylan can make fun of me for most of my wrong takes for this weekend. So make sure that you're following us on our socials so that we can react with you guys. Again, if you have any comments, complaints, send your complaints. I can't tell you we're going to listen to them, but send them along anyway. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. And we will keep rocking and rolling as we get down to kind of the next couple of weeks are the kind of the weird ones for sports, right? We're right before the trade deadline for the NBA. Football is there's 4 games left. 3 games left. Oh my God, only 3 games left. 4 if you want to count the Pro Bowl. Right. Sure, we can throw that in there. And then we're going to start getting into the weeds with football, getting into the combine, the draft, all that stuff. So, but what's up, guys?
All that all-season nerd stuff. I'm good. How are you? How are you guys?
Thriving. Living life, kind of excited to have my weekends to myself. First weekend in 19 weeks that I won't be working.
Right, that's
crazy.
Congratulations, getting to another season.
Season 2, man. Yeah,
congrats to you on that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's always a little bit bittersweet. You get used to spending all that time in a small closed-off room with a whole bunch of people, but it is definitely. Nice. I was telling my boss today, I was like, I finally can take my Christmas tree down, which is still in the background of my shot. Can you see it? I don't even know. Where is it?
Somewhat.
It's like falling apart. Yeah, there it is. It's like that needs to be done. The piles of laundry in my my house, like all needs to get done. So that'll be nice. I'm like, I'll have to actually be able to like kind of get back into a normal rhythm of a week, but exciting news on my end. I know I was talking about this last week that I had a dance competition with my high school dance girls. We got second, which was awesome. We were only 1.1 points out of first to the team that won states last year. So very exciting for them as we roll the season off. So
you kind of stole my thunder. This was going to be my surprise banner for you.
You're so sweet.
You kind of stole my thunder because that was I was telling Josh when you got in here. Yeah, don't tell him. So. That was my surprise little lower third for you and your girl.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. Yeah, I am so proud of them. I'll have to, once the season's over, we can play their routine on here. They're so good. I'm so happy for them. And
that was with an alternate, right?
Yeah, we had to put an alternate in last minute. So she's such a rock star. She was able to learn a ton. So we competed one of our 2 routines, and then at our next competition we'll compete both of them. We weren't able to compete the second one because of one of our injuries, but it's the beginning of a really great season. Found out next season we're going to Hawaii for this thing, which is I was like, cool, sounds good. Pay my way, As right now, Josh, my fiance and I are working on planning our honeymoon, and we're going to Singapore and Bali, and we're looking at the flights, and they're so long. The nonstop is 19 hours nonstop.
Wow.
Wow. That's a full day.
And you're not going to Paris for the Olympics, right? Or are you?
I don't think so. I actually talked to them about that yesterday. I was like, yo, I need to, and they were like, oh yeah. You wouldn't need to be back for anything until the week after. So I'd get like a week to relax, unwind from my exhausting honeymoon.
I cannot imagine taking that long of a flight. That sounds brutal.
Yeah. So we kind of today were like looking at it. So business class and like those kind of flights are the ones where like the bed lays flat. So I was like, look, what if we do business class on the way there and then economy on the way back? Economy on those flights is like first class on like a regular flight here. But I was like, I think a lay flat bed on the way there will just like, you can sleep for 8-9 hours and then it's not that horrible of a flight. So we might break it up where we do like a 12-hour flight to Tokyo, 7 hours in Tokyo, and then stuck on the flight for another 7. So we don't know, but we're like, we're ready. We like are booked our travel agent and everything. So we're going to across the world, but
Come on.
Congrats.
Thanks. I'm excited. I've never been that far. I've never been to Asia. So
Cool.
feel like it's somewhere everybody should go or try and go. But once we get over there, it's so cheap, which is the crazy part.
Cool. Josh, what's up with you?
Yeah.
Hey,
enough about my all my planning that I've been doing.
Not to cut Morgan off, because Morgan's got an action-packed summer.
Yeah, I know.
I can't. Yeah, hey, well, first of all, appreciate you guys having me on. It's an absolute pleasure to join you, and watching from past episodes, you guys run a great show here. So ready to talk some sports with you guys.
Yeah, well, let's get there. You ready, Morgan?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, on you.
All right, so this was kind of some. I don't necessarily know if like crazy news, but I think probably Doc getting the call was probably crazier than Griffin getting bucked off, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of, I saw that and I was like, interesting. I have been watching the Bucks a little bit this season, specifically for Andre Jackson, because Andre Jackson Jr., Josh, my fiance, and I are huge UConn fans. He's from Connecticut. We went to JMU down in Virginia, but we're huge UConn fans. And so it was fun watching him last year. So we've been watching the Bucks a little bit to kind of support him, I guess. Yeah. Watching him and them and the Pelicans specifically. And it was frustrating because it's seemingly they have a lot of talent and they have they've been able to win some games, but just not enough. Like they sometimes are falling flat in the end, which I think is the most frustrating part.
Yeah. And that's you bring up the surprise of Doc Rivers getting the job. That's kind of what I'm looking at. We kind of get the vibe here that the players weren't really connecting with Adrian Griffin. We saw that the defense was struggling mightily for the Bucks. That's a huge problem. You bring in Doc Rivers. Yeah, he's got the playoff experience. He's got that finals experience. But that was in 2008. The last finals he made was 2008 with the Boston Celtics. That seems like such an eternity ago. Like for a team,
it's like 2 decades ago. It really is so long ago.
For a team that just got bounced last year in the first round by an 8 seed. I mean, Doc Rivers, he's blown. Let's see here. I got it right here. The NBA has seen 13 blown 3-1 leads. He's coached 3 of those teams.
This is crazy.
He's 6-10 in game 7s. 10 losses are the most by a coach in NBA history. 17-33 in games in which his teams have had the chance to clinch. That doesn't sound like a recipe for success for a team that wants to win a championship. Yeah. Giannis came back to Milwaukee because he wants to win rings. He believes in the front office. He believes in the ownership. But is this the right hire? I don't know. I don't know about that.
Well, for me, I'm not surprised at all, just because Morgan knows and Josh knows. If you've been paying any attention over these last few weeks, I've been telling y'all for a while that the Bucks are mediocre. I've said the same thing. I feel like every week the Bucks are mediocre, the Celtics are mediocre. The Celtics just are built by the fact that they have the killer Jays, and they do most of the heavy lifting in the regular season. But this is what happens, as Morgan and I talked about with the summer, as I talked about with Josh off air, that this is what happens when Giannis is back and you got Damian Lillard and you have Chris Middleton, and then you're looking to have a strong team where you're weak at because you don't have Jrue Holiday, so the perimeter defense is very lacking, right? So Adrian Griffin, even though he was the number 1 choice, you started seeing that the writing was on the wall with him when Giannis, being his a little too honest international self, was just like, oh yeah, we're confused, we're this, we're that. And I'm like, yep, the writing's on the wall here. So and it's unfortunate for him because these NBA opportunities are very rare. Adrian Griffin, I believe he was the father of one of the Griffins that played on SU's team just a few years ago too. I think he's in the league now. So it's kind of kind of salty for that family, but like, it's unfortunate, and it kind of feels like there's some Game of Thrones stuff going on, because I think Woj was reporting that Adrian Griffin's advisor and the person he was talking to the most about this job was Doc Rivers, and then like the Bucks are like, oh yeah, so we're bringing in Doc Rivers now, so it's like it's kind of like fishy in the way it's being reported, but like it's unfortunate for him. Unfortunately for him, he was a rookie coach who really didn't have. I don't want to say he was a rookie. Obviously, he's been an assistant, but like the first time having a head coaching job with a team that's supposed to win, and it really wasn't happening, and then they gave him the boot. And we'll see about Doc Rivers. I mean, like, if you're the Celtics, the Sixers, you're probably breathing a little easier because you're all like, who they gonna get? Blah blah blah. Now you don't have to worry about it because it's Doc Rivers, a coach that the Sixers are very familiar with, and so are the Celtics. So like, it's one of them things where I'm just like, this is a move. It's kind of reminiscent of what the Eagles just did, right? It's a move to like, hey guys, we're still in it here. We're not bringing in another rookie coach. Here's the vet to help y'all out. It's kind of reminiscent of that. Like, it feels like there's some dysfunction here. Dame really doesn't want to be there. I mean, he's kind of been hiding it very well because he's kind of stuck now. But, like, he really doesn't want to be there. He'd rather be in Miami. I don't think I'm breaking news by telling people that he literally said, I want to be in Miami over the summer, right? So, yeah. I don't think I'm breaking news by saying that. So, like, it's kind of like it seems like it's set up for a very disappointing ending, and this gets right into our next question, right? It seems like it's set up to a very disappointing ending if you're a Bucks fan. I mean, they haven't really Milwaukee, the state of Wisconsin hasn't seen a championship at a long time since like the Wisconsin Badgers were good in men's basketball. Like, that's how long it's been. Like, so they haven't seen a championship since Sam Decker was on that team. So like, they have a long way to go, and I'm not making fun of Wisconsin at all. But like, that's just the last time they saw a championship in that state, obviously before the Bucks won. So like, they've had some recent success, but like for the Bucks, it just seems like it's heading towards disappointment, and they just might as well get ready.
My question is, the Bucks are having trouble connecting with their coach before the firing. What do you think that Doc is someone that they're going to be able to connect more with? Like, he hasn't been able, kind of like Josh was saying, to do anything since before 2010. And that's a long time ago. It's such a different culture. The kids are so different. Like, I find it different again, like even connecting with sometimes connecting with coworkers that are 5 years younger than you, trying to connect with kids that are NBA stars that have made money off of NIL in college or things like that. Like, it's just such a different culture now. Do you think that that's going to be an issue going forward?
Well, I just want to say this quickly. I mean, we saw the James Harden era in Philadelphia. That's a perfect example right there. I mean, James Harden didn't want to play for Doc Rivers. That's why he wanted out.
Yeah.
I mean, he wanted out and he got his wish. Philadelphia also could not wait to get Doc Rivers out the door. Okay. Because I don't even know if he really related to Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid did have a career explosion under him. So,
I mean, Joel Embiid, and we'll get to this later on. I don't think you'll ever see him scoring 70 points with Doc Rivers as his head coach. I mean,
yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah. I would say it like this. Like, obviously we know that Doc Rivers can get you to a playoffs. At this point, that's all they need right now. The postseason experience, somebody who can. I haven't watched Bucks games as closely as y'all. I've just been watching their national games and the highlights and stuff. But it seems like there was X's and O's stuff where they had people like Brook Lopez was playing out of position. He was playing up top instead of being in the paint. Those kind of things won't happen under Doc Rivers. Like, if nothing else you could say about Doc Rivers besides the fact that he'll blow leads, like, he will have his players in the right position. He will let Giannis and Dame cook. Like, I'm not saying that Adrian Griffin didn't, because they were 30-13. He clearly let them cook. But, like, there won't be, like, two people on the same three-point line in the corner like what's happening under him. So, like, we know he can coach the X's and O's. Now, the ending, like I said, is going to be a first or second round exit for the Bucks. But, like, you won't have the X's and O's miscues that you've been having with the Bucks. So, like, if nothing else, we know Doc Rivers can coach.
Yes, we know he can coach. You said that, they want to just get into the playoffs. this team is a championship-minded team. They've got two of the best players in the league right now. I would not say that they're just trying to get in the playoffs. They want to win a championship. And you have Giannis Antetokounmpo, you have Damian Lillard. We're forgetting about Chris Middleton. I mean, the guy's an all-star. And you've got a bunch of good role players too. This team is a championship team, but can they beat the Boston Celtics? That's the biggest thing right now. Can Doc Rivers get them over the hump? I mentioned these stats. It doesn't prove like history is not going to repeat itself.
Well, let me say this, right? Like the Bucks aren't. Let me help you out. The Bucks are not winning anything this year because it's going to be between the Sixers and the Celtics. Like I've been saying that for a while, and like the Bucks are like the weakest 2 seed in the NBA. Like and like the Sixers, obviously, I may be somewhat biased as a Sixers reporter and a fan, but like I'm just saying that like I've been saying this for a while and they've been proving me right. So like I think I know a little bit. I'm not saying that obviously you both are very reputable. I'm just saying this for everything.
I mean, you say the Sixers. You say the Sixers. What about the Knicks? I might be biased, but hey, we beat you guys by 40 points in your own building. So I think you got to put the Knicks in that conversation too.
What about the Wizards?
I'll say this about the Knicks, right? I'll give you that new player who this energy that y'all been riding for a while. So I'll give you that. You got the OG Anunoby, new player who this energy. But we'll see what it looks like in the playoffs. But we're very excited. We'll see what happens with the Bucks. I think it's going to end in disappointment. Josh apparently thinks it's going to end in an Eastern Conference Finals berth, losing to the Celtics.
Whoa, Kylan. Whoa. I did not say that. I mean, they're a championship-minded team, but I don't know. Doc Rivers, last 3 seasons, I'll say this is the last thing I'll say on Doc Rivers. Had a championship-minded team like the Philadelphia 76ers the last 3 seasons. He got bounced in the conference semifinals all 3 seasons. So I can see them losing there.
Yeah, you're kicking me while I'm down with that one.
Sorry, bud.
No, it's all good. All right. Terry Rozier to the Heat. Another surprise, right? Scary Terry to Miami. Like,
first of all, did we all see the Instagram post?
I did not.
So I think he's funny. He says, "Thank you, Queen City. My love for y'all will 5 ever run deep. To my teammates / brothers, war wasn't war without y'all. Only regret was not bringing the city playoff atmosphere. But I'm excited to see y'all do it. If y'all learned anything from me, hope it's to stay true to you every day. I'm going to keep it PG on here, but y'all know how I talk feral. Love y'all."
I love Terry Rozier, bro.
Isn't that awesome? That's awesome.
That's funny. Yeah, I think my reaction is it's great for the Heat. You get a younger point guard, another one who's like, I won't be disrespectful to Terry Rozier. He does play defense better than Damian Lillard. He's not allergic to defense, so I'll give him that. But I think for the Heat, it gives you a younger point guard, which you need. It gives you a streaky shooter. And it's another one where it's kind of like it leaves you scratching your head because like Kyle Lowry is like a championship-minded and a championship winner. He knows how to play make. He knows how to play defense. And then you're just inserting Terry Rozier. It seems like you're kind of admitting that whole like Bam, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry thing didn't work. So now you're inserting somebody who's definitely never seen a shot he didn't like. So I feel like this is the Heat just trying to make a big move, kind of like with the Knicks. Sorry, Josh, but it's kind of like with the Knicks, the move for the sake of a move to like make room for the bigger move, which is probably Donovan Mitchell or a shot at Donovan Mitchell in the offseason. So like it just kind of seems like with the Knicks, you're just making a move to like buoy yourself going into the playoffs. But we'll see. I don't think this is I still think the Heat are a first or second round exit, maybe a first round exit, depending on which of the top 3 teams they wound up playing. If it's the Celtics or the Sixers, it's probably a 6 or 7, probably a 5-6 game series. If it's the Bucks, it might be a 7 game one, and it might end early for the Bucks. So I know Bucks fans are like, please don't let the Heat play us. So we'll see.
Well, we mentioned before, or you mentioned, Kylan, about Damian Lillard wanting to go to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I think this goes back all the way to the summertime. Miami has made it known they are looking to get a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that Tyler Hero was bringing up the ball. That's not his game. That is not his. That's not how you should be using Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero, spot up shooter, can score the basketball, can dribble, get a jump shot off the bounce. That's his game. You need a true point guard in there. That's why I like this move from Miami. You get rid of a first-round pick. Okay, big deal. It's a 2027 first-round pick. Big deal.
3 years
This
from now.
team is looking to win championships. They got Jimmy Buckets, who is playoff Jimmy's a real thing, by the way, if that isn't already known. Rozier last night made his Miami debut. They lost to the lowly Grizzlies. Not a good look. That's a spoiler right there. Spoiling the debut of Terry Rozier. He came off the bench 29 minutes, only scored 9 points. But it's going to be interesting, Morgan and Kylan, that we're going to see how this trade works out for them. You mentioned, Kylan, they got rid of Kyle Lowry as a veteran presence in there who, and I will say this because of experience, he gave the Knicks some trouble in that playoff series last year. So this is going to be a little interesting. Rozier's averaging 23 points per game this season, so it gives him scoring.
Expect that average to come down now that he's sharing the ball with Jimmy, Tyler, and Bam.
Yeah, that adjustment. What's it going to take? That's the big thing I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think we kind of answered this. To me, I don't think it's gonna help them. Obviously, it'll give them scoring from the point guard. Obviously, a younger point guard who can actually and this is no disrespect to Kyle Lowry. He used to be able to do this, cross you up and attack the rim. He can't do it no more. But he can shoot the heck out of the ball. I will give him that. So yeah, it'll definitely help them. It depends on, obviously, like everything else, it's matchup dependent. With where the Heat are, I think they're like 6 or 7 right now. They could either play like the Knicks, be a play-in team, do that 4 or 5 matchup with the Knicks again, which I know, Josh, you loved that matchup last year, right? So do that matchup. Who knows is that with the Heat, it's like for them, they just need to get in, and they hope that they're not a play-in team like they were last year. So they just need to get to that 6 seed. They obviously have no shot of getting the top 3 seed. So for them, they need that 4 seed. They need your Knicks or the Cavaliers to start falling off so they can get that. But I don't think for the Heat, for me, they'll be in the postseason, but I don't think they're going to make the finals this year. I really do think that they're a first or a second round exit, depending on who they play.
Yeah, this is just to end this from my point of view. When you have Eric Spoelstra as your head coach, you have Jimmy Butler, you're going for championships.
Right.
Does this move get them to the championship level? No, I don't think so. But, could it help them win a playoff series? Maybe. But I don't know. This team needs to be looking at champions. I think they need one more player to get themselves over the hump, just like the Knicks, who need one more player as well. So, like I said, going to be interesting to see how this dynamic works.
Does his last name end in Mitchell?
You bring up a good idea.
Morgan, do you have anything with this Rozier thing?
I think it's a great trade. I think he's a great personality that's going to bring a lot of energy, which I think is needed. And I think that anytime energy like that is transferred, I think it always sends a spark into a new locker room, which I think is always good. Like I said, I think his personality is going to be fun and just a bright light in the locker room. I don't really know, me, NBA is not I don't follow it as deeply and as closely as some of the other sports. So as much of his on the court stuff, I don't know as much about that, but I do know that he seems to be a guy that brings energy kind of wherever he goes, whatever that, good or bad. but definitely brings energy, which I think is always something that fans and
It's good energy the majority of the time. He doesn't have any trouble. He was not he was not the problem in Charlotte.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of where I stand on it. I think, again, it's the same kind of thing we've talked about with any kind of these big trades. It's a new bright energy when they come into a new room, and that is always helpful for a spark for a team.
Yeah. So, do we expect any other big names to be traded by the deadline? To me, I kind of alluded to this guy. I don't expect the Cleveland to give up. I mean, unless he suddenly becomes a cancer in these next 2 weeks, I don't expect Cleveland to give up Donovan Mitchell. So, and obviously the only other one is Zach LaVine. And Chicago kind of seems like, I know they're sending out feelers. DeMar DeRozan is now suddenly available. Seems like Chicago is teetering on that. We need to get Bronny trained. Josh, you brought up the 2027 pick, but you never know. That might be our boy Keon Anthony, the future Syracuse 2 guard Keon Anthony. Yeah, so that's 2-3 years from now. So you say that pick might not be nothing, but that could be a top 3 Keon Anthony pick. So. I fully expect, like I've said this before, like Terry Rozier. Obviously you had OG Anunoby who let this off. Now Pascal Siakam. It seems like the fire sale in Toronto. Maybe they'll trade Scotty Barnes. I don't know who will want him, but maybe he's been rumored too. So it seems like the Raptors are having a fire sale. So if that's the case, expect Scotty Barnes to be kicked. I don't want to say kicked out, but expect Scotty Barnes to be traded. If what I'm hearing is true. Buddy Hield is available now. Everybody's favorite shooting guard, small forward out of Oklahoma. So he could definitely make noise for the Sixers, the Knicks, the Lakers. There's a lot of shooting. There's a lot of teams that need more of that shooting. Not as much defense, but more shooting. So I fully expect it to be made at the margins. Like the biggest name I expect is maybe Scotty Barnes or Buddy Hield, but there's always surprises. It's the NBA trade season, so a lot of people get traded that you don't expect. But I fully expect the 2 biggest names either be DeMar, Zach, or Scotty Barnes. Like I don't expect Donovan to be traded these next 2 weeks.
If the Raptors trade Scotty Barnes, that would be the worst move in the history of that franchise. Mm-hmm. You got a young player you just drafted who is going to be a superstar in this league. He can do it all. There's no way. If they trade him, I would be shocked. Absolutely shocked. That's a player you build your team around. I would be totally shocked about that. You mentioned DeMar DeRozan. So I'm a Knicks fan. I got to talk about the Knicks. I'm sorry. This team is on the cusp. They're on the cusp. They are so close. They need that one superstar player. Now, I don't know if I'm trading for DeMar DeRozan this offseason, in the season. In the offseason, DeMar DeRozan is a perfect fit for this team. Knicks need a scorer. DeMar DeRozan is a starter, but this is the perfect fit for the Knicks. They need someone that can create their own shot. DeMar DeRozan is a pure scorer. It's a perfect fit. But let's go for this year. I'm going to focus on the Knicks here. Tuesday night, good win against the Brooklyn Nets in Barclays Center. But that win just made it even more obvious the Knicks need a bench scorer. Because if Miles McBride is going to be your top scorer off the bench, that's a little concerning. Josh Hart's not a real scorer. He's more of an effort guy, defense.
The pride of Villanova right there.
Yeah, so I'm looking at a guy like Jordan Clarkson, who I think is a perfect fit. He's a pure scorer off the bench, can dish off the bench too. I'm not sure if Utah's going to trade him, though. They're making a little bit of a run. They're trying to maybe get into the play-in tournament. We'll see about that. But I'm also looking at the crosstown rival Nets, and I like Cam Thomas. I watched Tuesday night's game. I'm a Knicks fan. I don't really watch the Nets that much. Cam Thomas he's leading the league in bench points. He's scoring 20 points per game off the bench. That is, if you talk about a player that the Knicks need, that's a guy. Again, creates his own shot, not afraid to take it to the basket, can shoot the lights out of the ball from 3-point range. I mean, I'm not sure if the Nets are going to trade him to a team like the Knicks, given that they're in close proximity. But boy, if I were to pick a player to join this Knicks team, it is Cam Thomas, 100%.
Y'all definitely need another 6-man. So that's a good thing. Morgan, you got anything, or you good?
I'm good.
You good? All right. My time. Our time now. The 70 piece. The 70. Did I text you during this? I feel like I did. Did I text you during
You
this?
didn't text me. I don't think so.
Okay.
You could have. That whole day I was like all over the place. I think I was working.
The 70 piece, bro. Like the 70 piece was it was perfect. Like there aren't too many times when I watch a game and I can just tell something special is going to happen. First and foremost, let's just talk about this. This is a future rivalry, right? Now, the NBA, right? The top players right now are the two best players in the NBA. One plays in Denver, one plays in Philadelphia. Like, they need to make sure that anytime Joel Embiid is on television and he's going up against a fellow good center / future good center, like what happened on Monday night. I know it was on NBA TV and on Philadelphia and San Antonio, but that should have been a nationally televised game because that was 70 points. That was two French, one's Cameroonian, one's French, but, two French-speaking big men going at each other. And that's what that game was. It was Embiid saying, Wembanyama's time is coming, but it's not right now and not in my building. 70 points. And he did it in like 34 minutes. Like, they were talking about this. My man has 38 points. He's averaging more points than minutes. He gets 38 points a night in like 30 minutes. Like, this is like the most efficient big man we have ever seen. This is the best big man. No disrespect to Will Chamberlain. This is the best big man the Sixers have ever had. This is the best big man probably in the NBA. And I'm not gonna roll stones because the only thing he's missing is a ring. Like, but this is, I'm gonna say it. He's more dominant than I watched Shaq growing up. He's more dominant than Shaq. He's got way more moves than Hakeem, right? I wasn't alive for Kareem, so for the boomers and the greatest generation, I'll let them have that one. But I think he's got a little bit more moves than Kareem. He is that guy. Barkley was a forward, so he doesn't count in this conversation. This is centers only right here. So this is that he's that dude. He is that guy. And 70 points, I know it made Mad Dog Russo really, really mad. Shout out to New York.
Makes him mad though.
New York radio, because he was all like, "What about Wilt's 100 points?" All right, Mad Dog. No one's gonna score. No one's gonna score 100. Like, I would love to see it, but I don't think I'm overhyping this. I don't think anybody is gonna score. If Kobe Bryant couldn't do it and Michael Jordan couldn't do it, I do not think anybody is going to score 100 points in a game, let alone 101, unless they just don't pass the ball. Like, Allen Iverson didn't even do that. So it's not gonna happen. So a 70 piece is a good thing. And if he scored 11 more points, if he actually wanted to, he probably could have broke Kobe's record. So Joel Embiid, masterpiece. Every time that man plays, Victor Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren, Nikola Jokic, it needs to be on national television. NBA, I know some of y'all probably listening right now. Make those games national television. It just needs to be national television. Joel Embiid should not be just on NBA TV, on NBC Sports Philadelphia, and whatever it is in San Antonio. That man should be on national television because he is about to be your back-to-back scoring champ and probably the second unanimous MVP in the league history. Put that man on national television until he retires. And I'm not just saying that. Right now I've got the reporter hat on and not the biased Sixers fan hat. So, to wrap this up, do the Sixers need to make a move, or can they just wait until free agency or the buyout market? I think that they need another 3-and-D guy. I'm a little concerned about Robert Covington, my boy Rocco, another guy who came back from that James Harden trade, which, by the way, that was a very deep trade. It gave the Sixers, I've said this on this show before, length for days, length 4 days. But I'm kind of concerned that Robert Covington has an inflamed knee. Like I've never had a bad knee, but like I hear those are pretty bad for basketball players. So we hope that he recovers, speedy recovery to him. But the Sixers, in light of that, need another small forward. I've said it before. They need another ball handler. Although Patrick Beverly is making me a believer that maybe they do not, because of the way he's been playing. So like maybe they do not. Maybe you can rely on the wildly vet that is Patrick Beverly. So by the way, there's nobody more Philly than this man who's not from Philly. He's from California, but yeah. So there's that. I think if I'm the Sixers, I'm looking for, I said this last week, a move at the margins. 3-and-D. You might need another center behind Embiid. I love B-Ball Paul, but he's a power forward, not a center. So you probably need like an Andre Drummond, maybe somebody you can get at the buyout market. And this might be answered because Kyle Lowry is definitely not staying in Charlotte. So he can come home to Philadelphia and play just like Marcus Morris. Come home, play for Nick Nurse, help the Sixers out, do that hometown discount. Yeah, so that's my thing. And any other things to watch in the association. It's rivalry week, man. This Saturday, 5:30. Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Saturday, all this stuff. It's rivalry week. Like they're making this a thing. I love it. I love that the NBA does this. I wish the NFL gets on the train. Like when you have rivalries, like college football does this pretty well. Like advertise the heck out of them rivalries. Like rivalry week, like Saturday, if you're a basketball head, like between college basketball and whatever else, like I'm not even mentioning this because this is more of a Syracuse thing, but Joe Girard comes back to the Dome next week. If you're this weekend, if you're a basketball fan, like between college basketball and the NBA this weekend, it's all rivalry. So like, just get on the train. Yeah,
Knicks and Heat too.
Oh, there we go. Knicks and Heat. See, alluded to it earlier. Didn't even know it was happening this weekend. So look at that. Morgan, you want to take this one?
Yeah. So the man I think credited with making, I don't want to say making because that's not really fair, but helping Baker Mayfield come out of, disarray or raising him up to his full potential, bringing him his Heisman self out, his, number one pick, all that stuff. So the offensive coordinator of Canals agrees to become the new head coach of the Panthers. So, interesting pick. The Panthers are kind of been in a disarray. I think that the biggest thing is that they have risked it all for Bryce Young, right? That's kind of the main thing that we're seeing here. And they're trying to find that quarterback whisperer that's going to take Bryce Young and bring him to the potential that they think he has. And I think they think that Canals can do this. I think he's a really good offensive coordinator. I think he did some great stuff for the Bucs. But I also think that the Bucs had some really good players last year. I think that we're forgetting that, this team hasn't necessarily changed that much besides obviously Tom Brady, who's a huge change, but besides going to the Super Bowl, and I don't think they were expected to be as good as they were this year, but I think that, that's a combination of nobody thought that Baker Mayfield could do anything. And I think that people are forgetting that Baker Mayfield has been in crappy situations for the last couple of years. I think that this was a good situation for him for a multitude of reasons, not just talent surrounding him, but like vibes, I guess, if that makes sense. He's been in like just some like bad locker rooms. So I don't know. With all of the amazing head coaches that are out there, this surprised me. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Color me surprised too. Because this just came out of left field. I mean, I was not expecting this, but I think it's a great hire. I mean, the Panthers just drafted number 1 overall Bryce Young. They tried to work it out with Frank Reich. Obviously, that did not work out. But Dave Canales, I've heard he's a great play caller. He's a good developer. And this is you spend 13 years in Seattle before this past season in Tampa Bay. I mean, there's no wonder that Pete Carroll entrusted in him to be on his staff. And I'm wondering, how did it take so long for Dave Canales to get an offensive coordinator job? Past season was his first season as an offensive coordinator. I mean, talk about finding a diamond in the rough. Great job to the Buccaneers, Todd Bowles and Chris Light, for doing that. Think this is a great hire. The football, obviously the head coach is responsible for the football team, as well. I'm sure we'll get into this with the Eagles, with Nick Sirianni's press conference yesterday, that he is the head coach. But like, this is a pure hire for development of Bryce Young. You mentioned it, Morgan. This is absolutely needed for this franchise, a franchise that has been in disarray over the last couple of years. They need to make some sort. They cannot waste this pick on Bryce Young. If they had to do something and bring in an offensive mind, I will say Dave Canales and their new GM, Dan Morgan, they actually work together in Seattle. So that is also very important. You have to have the GM and the head coach have to be in sync. If they are going to be, they got to be in sync together. This, I think, could be good for the Carolina Panthers, but it's not going to be, next year. It's not going to happen right away. They got to be patient with this. So it could take 2 years. If it doesn't, next season, I'd be surprised if Bryce Young, just like I was surprised about Baker Mayfield this season, like you guys were surprised about Baker Mayfield this year. I'd be surprised if Bryce Young makes a huge jump, but in 2 seasons from now, this could turn out to be a very important hire and a very substantial move for Bryce Young's career.
Yeah, for me, I think you both covered it excellently. My only concern with this hire is David Tepper going to stay out the way? Like we know that the problem in Carolina, it seems to be, is him. Like he's not going to fire himself. He's not going to remove himself from his $1 billion baby. So like, I think Canales, this is a man that coached Russell Wilson in his best seasons. He's coached a lot of quarterbacks, obviously just recently resurrecting Baker Mayfield, as both you and Morgan so eloquently pointed out. So, for me, the biggest question for me is, will David Tepper let his GM and coach cook? Will Bryce Young be able to not have the rug pulled out from under him? Like, this is one of the things with Frank Reich. Like, I like him. Obviously, he did very well here in Philadelphia with Carson Wentz, Nick Foles, and everything else. But I'm telling Eagles fans, I mean, it wasn't like they looked good for the first 6 weeks with Bryce Young and Frank Reich being there. So, I think a lot of this is personnel. I think they need to put the right personnel around him in Carolina. I just think that a lot of this depends on David Tepper and his patience. To me, it doesn't matter if you have a good GM and a coach. If you have somebody who seems as hormonal and emotional as David Tepper is, I mean, this man, I know that PFT probably talked about this. This man poured a beer on a Pittsburgh fan. This is not emotionally stable, rich dude. So, I need this man to, stay out the way. And so if he stays out the way, then I fully expect that the Panthers can make a leap in the bummy NFC South.
You make a good point, Kylan, and I forgot to mention this quickly, very quick. We say that the GM and the head coach have to have in sync relationship. That includes the owner too. So the owner, David Tepper's got to be patient. So I echo what you said.
Yeah. All right, Harbaugh.
I think we all saw this one coming. Harbaugh is officially, pretty official, going to the Chargers, making his triumphant return to LA. I think this is awesome. I think this is going to be really fun. I'm excited to have Harbaugh back in the NFL. I think everybody is. Talk about characters. That man lives, breathes, dies for football. We'll see how his brother does this year, but he might be chasing 2 rings from his bro. So I think this is a home run hire for the Chargers. I think this was an absolute no-brainer. I'm excited for it. I know you guys are too.
Yeah.
But let's see what he can get Herbert to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, we called it, right, Morgan?
Yeah,
Morgan
we've
and
been
I.
saying this for a few weeks.
Yeah, we've been saying that like whoever was the loser between LA and I guess Atlanta, but I think we were all thinking somewhere else for Bill Belichick. But whoever was the loser between after the Chargers took their coach between Bill and Harbaugh would get the job. So I just feel like for me, I'm excited. You know, he's back in the state of California. He's not in the NFC, which is great for all of our teams.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I think that he's going to do wonders for the Chargers. I don't necessarily know if this will lead to success for them, just because they're in the loaded AFC West, and it's only loaded because Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are in that division. So like, you know, kind of like I feel like the biggest challenge for him, and maybe the reason he took this job, was kind of like when he started at Ohio State. He knows he's probably not going to have the rug pulled out from under him in LA. So I feel like the biggest thing will be, as Morgan said, what can he get out of Herbert? Well, can he convince Justin Herbert to stay in LA? And if not, does he have a good backup plan and a good quarterback who can throw behind him to help him out once Justin Herbert, as Morgan pointed out like a few weeks ago, decides to get up out of that cursed franchise? Like, you know, I think that Harbaugh has some work to do. I feel like it's kind of like what Josh just said about Canales. This is a few years from now. This is the Chargers, as Mina Kimes pointed out on First Take earlier today, are very top heavy, right? Like, they've got a lot of good wide receivers, Mike Williams. They've got a lot of Austin Eckler, but it's very top heavy. It's a very aging roster. They'll have to choose between, you know, Mac and Bosa. Which one will they keep? They'll probably have to do like a roster turnover very soon with everybody not named Herbert. So like that's really going to be like, we're going to really see if Harbaugh is a roster builder. I know that roster is kind of the GM, the coach, and the owner. So hopefully it's a good GM coming in. I don't think they've hired a GM yet. So they need a good GM there. And if that works out, then I think the Chargers will be a force to be reckoned with. But you know, right now to me, they're in third place, because I fully feel like it's going to be the Chiefs, obviously. And a surprise here, I think the Raiders are going to surprise a lot of people next year. Second in the AFC West, and maybe even back in the playoffs.
I agree.
That's a bold prediction, I will say. Morgan, you said this was a home run. It wasn't just a home run. It's a grand slam. This is an absolute amazing hire by the Chargers. This franchise has been in the dumps for Brandon Staley, put them in the dumps. I mean, I feel bad for Tom Telesco. He put together an incredible roster for Brandon Staley, and he just threw it down the drain. I mean, Jim Harbaugh, you know, you said, on the graphic here, Harbaugh's charged up. This is exactly what this team needed. Jim Harbaugh brings energy. He brings enthusiasm. He brings passion to the room every single day. You saw this at Michigan. You saw this in San Francisco. That's what he does. He's a team builder. And Justin Herbert, I'll say this. This is the best move. Justin Herbert should be celebrating.
Yeah,
he should be celebrating.
He should be so excited. I think he is.
This is perfect. I also saw on the Pat McAfee show that Jim Harbaugh he loves Justin Herbert. So that's just right there. Perfect. But yeah, going back to that, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Jim Harbaugh, when he has taken over, like when a school, whether it's a college team or if it's an NFL team, he has had immediate success. 2 years into his time in San Francisco, he was in the Super Bowl. That's pretty incredible. Stanford, when he was a head coach at Stanford, they were 1-11 the previous season. He comes in, he didn't make drastic improvement, but that they improved, and they ended up going, I think they had maybe an undefeated season or a one-loss season. And then Michigan they also were kind of irrelevant until Jim Harbaugh steps in and he leads them to a national championship this season. This needed to happen. The Chargers needed him. This was, I think, the only option for the Chargers. Perfect fit, franchise QB, loaded roster, ready to win now. I'm saying, Colin, you say that it could take a year. I think they're ready to win now. I think this is their time to win now with Jim Harbaugh.
Okay, we'll see. My only thing, I totally agree with you. My only thing is Patrick Mahomes is in that division, so
Yeah,
that's the only.
true.
That's
true. Also, I will say also, and I'm not saying this is true. Andy Reid, we have heard, I think last year we did hear possibility of him retiring, calling it a career. If Kansas City wins the Super Bowl this year, a second straight Super Bowl, that's a great way to go out. If Andy Reid were to leave the Chiefs, this is an opportunity for Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers.
Yeah, and a perfect opportunity for Bill Belichick to step in and be like, "Forget it, Atlanta. I'm going to Kansas City."
Wouldn't that be funny?
Wouldn't it? All right,
So last week on here, we were saying that we weren't sure if some Eagles news was going to break while we were taping the pod. It did not, but some news did break afterwards. And Kylan, I'm just going to let you take it over. I'm going to let you talk about your Eagles for a second.
All right. So I know this is scaring a lot of people, not just on this podcast, but a lot of teams now, that the Eagles have been failing, doing okay and failing with Vic Fangio disciples. And now they have the real thing. It was pointed out that defense in Miami, despite having injuries, was 7th in total yards allowed, 11th in points, like top 8 in takeaways. This man knows how to coach. And a lot of things that wouldn't happen for the Eagles that happened last year, as far as the collapse on the defensive side with miscommunications, how people, the thing that happened with both of y'all's team, the Giants, how people are falling into each other, and what's his name, and Darren Waller's just wide open, streaking down for a touchdown. Now, obviously, he dropped that ball, but stuff like that wouldn't be happening because Vic Fangio knows how to hold people, how to hold it together, how to hold the line. So I feel like this is great for the Eagles. We will see. For Eagles fans, we joke on here a lot that, Howie Roseman is allergic to drafting a linebacker and or paying one. So now that Vic Fangio's here, one of his big emphases, I probably just made up a word there, is the middle linebacker. So we're gonna see that. You won't have Hassan Reddick dropping in the coverage and allowing insert QB's name here because Hassan Reddick is covering a tight end to just be sitting there like, oh snap, he's in coverage. Let me throw to this dude streaking right down the field because I don't have to worry about Hassan Reddick. So so I feel like this is very live for the Eagles. This makes my theory that they will draft Jeremiah Trotter's son, probably not with the top pick, but in the second round, if he makes it that far, very live, and that they're definitely going to be in on a lot of good middle linebackers. What's up, Patrick Queen? So yeah, and probably get a lot of Miami Dolphins players, probably on some cheap deals. But it's Howie Roseman doesn't love anything more than a cheap deal. So I feel like the Eagles, this is great for the Eagles. I am, to answer the next question, am I confident in them? I have to see who the OC is. I really do. I have to see who the OC is. They've been doing a lot of good interviews. My guy that I want is not on the interview. Is not on the interview list yet. Eric Bieniemy. That man needs to be in Philadelphia. It's perfectly and tailor-made for him. I know Morgan's not a Commanders fan, but it's perfectly made for him to come in here.
What about Cliff? What about Cliff Kingsbury?
Oh yeah, Cliff Kingsbury. That was a great interview. They're interviewing the man from Dallas, and the LA former the Colts.
Yeah. Kellen Moore.
Yep, Kellen Moore is interviewing too. So it seems like there is a lot going on there, but I have to see who the OC is. But Nick Sirianni is clearly on the hot seat, or You know, there's been a lot of changes to Jeffrey Lurie, like, you know,
he did not look happy, Kylan. He did not look happy in that.
I texted Morgan during that live shot at the Tampa Bay game that, like, you know, you could just see him looking. There was the difference between, like, Stephen A. did a great impression. It was the difference between, like, Jerry Jones and Nick Sirianni. You see Jerry Jones banging on the table and being all upset and looking at his son because his son's the GM. And then you have Jeffrey Lurie. You want to talk about a cinematic relationship between, like, him and Howie Roseman. Like, Howie already knew what time it was when he saw that picture on TV. Like, he was like, all right, got to cut everybody as far as the coaching staff. Jeff is not going to be happy, and Jeff is not happy. You know, Nick is going to be the CEO coach, which I think is a better role for him anyway. You know, I think it's come out now that there was some, I don't want to say, this is my words, not the reporting, but it seems like some very heavy beef between Nick Sirianni, Brian Johnson, and Jalen Hurts as far as fighting over what worked during games. And so I think if you have an OC that controls the offense, and Nick Sirianni, I've said this before, is less dictatorial. Now, look, I am throwing no aspersions on Nick Sirianni. He comes from that Doug Peterson, Andy Reid, we call the plays, nobody else calls them tree. And that's why Eric Bieniemy, unfortunately for him, couldn't really get a job because he wasn't really calling plays until, like, last year. And now he is in Washington. So, like, you know, we have some things that we can really get into.
Can I just say one thing, Kylan, really quickly? It's very easy to blame the coordinators, but at the end of the day, this is Nick Sirianni's team. He made an inexplicable move in the middle of the season by changing defensive coordinators. Matt Patricia, who hasn't had a shred of success in 10 years in the NFL, in the last 10 years in the NFL. Nick Sirianni, it seemed like this team wasn't connected towards the end of the season when they starting out 10-1 and going 1-6. There's clearly something wrong that was happening inside that locker room. They didn't look connected. They didn't look juiced. They didn't look energetic. That falls on Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've said this before, that a lot of that is him. And, like, you know, he's got to take the blame. And this is why Jeffrey Lurie has said, seems like it must have been a good meeting because nobody knows anything. Even Adam Schefter's like, I don't know. It's been very quiet. I tell people all the time, when a Philly team goes quiet and there's no leaks, like when Woj and Adam Schefter can't get nobody to leak, that usually means Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, or insert Philadelphia Sixers owner and GM here are getting busy. So when they don't leak, it's a bad sign. If you're a coach for a Philadelphia team.
So I think so. Speaking on some kind of interesting things that happened, obviously this weekend, the divisional weekend just happened. So we just had all of those games. We're running a little bit out of time here. So what was, I think, everybody's biggest the biggest shock from this weekend? Like, what was the thing that shocked you the most out of some of these games?
I think for me, the fact that, you know, I think two things, and I'm going to be real quick on these. 49ers are looking way more weak than I thought they were last weekend. I said that they were in trouble. And the fact that, you know, Aaron Jones and Jordan Love, you know, the fact that they just waited out for Jordan Love to make a mistake, and that ultimately is what happened, is not a good thing if you're a 49ers fan when you got Jared Goff and Dan Campbell breathing down your necks this weekend. And the fact that Josh Allen, he probably just needs to leave Buffalo, man. Like, they're not going to do anything for him. It's time. Like, we just talked about how Justin Herbert might need to vacate LA. It's time for Josh to get out of Buffalo.
Yeah, I'll be quick also. I don't know about that. I think, Buffalo is banged up. It's very hard to beat Patrick Mahomes with your best players, but it's even harder to beat Patrick Mahomes when you're playing with a bunch of backups. Travis Kelce went off. That was obviously the biggest key of the game, was to get Travis Kelce the ball with the shorthanded linebacking crew of the Buffalo Bills. I know I'm done with this Josh Allen hate, though. Josh Allen is a phenomenal player. He is a fantastic quarterback. He just needs to beat Patrick Mahomes and get over that hump. And will Stephon Diggs be there? Are they going to get a little faster at the wide receiver position? This is going to be a very interesting offseason for the Buffalo Bills.
Morgan, you got anything?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was kind of like what you said with Josh Allen. I just feel so desperately bad for him, and he is so good at what he does. He is so good, and he is surrounded by such bleh that it is so frustrating to watch such an amazing quarterback's talents be wasted. And that, am I surprised, I guess, that no, but I'm frustrated. I really would have loved to see that game go into overtime. That freaking kicker, I mean, God, that was such a bad kick.
Overtime was so needed with that drama from the coin toss a couple of years ago.
Yeah, no, it would have been so good. But besides that, I think it kind of played out how we thought it would.
Yeah, I definitely called it. So yeah, this is my time where, guys, you've heard, if you are a fan of the show, you've heard over the last 2 podcasts that my father specifically has been really upset at me because I, as he said, buried Josh Allen. A few weeks ago when the Eagles beat the Bills, I know it seems like a long time ago because that was like the last good time that the Vibes were with the Eagles. But Josh Allen, he did well, but his team kind of let him down. And to me, like, I'm not, let me just say, because, Josh and I had this talk before offline, but like, I'm not specifically hating on the man, but I just think that, like, I think my problem is more with people in our industry, athletes and non-athletes, who put this man in the top 3. Because I don't think you can be, like, his talent is top 3. To me, he is him. It's just that he doesn't get any help, right? So let me be clear. I am not hating on Josh Allen. I just think that he is him, but he doesn't get enough help. There's not enough talent around him. No knock on Stefon Diggs, but I mean, dog, you let a ball go right through your hands, bro, just like this. Like, you let a ball go right through your hands. So like, to me, like, he is him, but to me, I don't think, just to be quick on this next question so we can get to the championship, I don't think that you can be a top 3 quarterback. Like, to me, it's Mahomes, it's Lamar, it's Jalen Hurts, it's Joe Burrow, and then Josh Allen. Like, people who have made a Super Bowl, obviously Lamar is about to make a Super Bowl. Hint on where I'm going. Lamar is about to make a Super Bowl, but like, those are MVPs, people who have done it, people who are, if they haven't beaten Patrick Mahomes yet, if they didn't do it this year or they're about to do it, like Jalen Hurts has outperformed. We just saw this last year, right? Outperformed Patrick Mahomes by all accounts during the Super Bowl. Something that Josh Allen hasn't done yet. Like, he has multiple more opportunities to do it. Like, Josh Allen is a top 5 QB, but he's got top 3 talent and he doesn't have the success. And until he gets the success, I'm not putting him in my top 3.
Yeah, that's true. That's tough.
Yeah.
All right. Predictions. I love the storyline of the first game being the last game of the season. So I'm going Lions, Chiefs, Super Bowl. I really, really, really want the Lions to make it. Such a fun story. And then, hey, I can't get enough of Taylor Swift, so why not? I think these games are such toss-ups, honestly. Like, I generally think this is one of the first times in a while where we have actually had the best 4 teams in the conference championships. Like, I think you play these games 10 times, each team wins 5, honestly. I think they're so evenly matched up. I think both games are going to be amazing. And then watch, it's going to be a freaking blowout now that I say that. But I really, truly don't think so. I think they're going to be close games. Wouldn't surprise me if a game goes into overtime. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a great weekend. So I'm just going with what my heart wants because genuinely, I think it could any of these 4 teams could win.
Yeah, for me, I'll let Josh close it. For me, I'm going with, like I just teased, I'm going with Ravens over the Chiefs. I think the Ravens have the linebackers. What's up, Patrick Queen, and Roquan Smith to cover Travis Kelce. And I feel like if you cover Travis Kelce and you make Patrick Mahomes rely on anybody not name Rasheem Rice. He will not be. They will let him down, just like they did. Just the Eagles did the same thing, like when they beat the Chiefs. Like if you make him rely on everybody else and you shut down Isaiah Pacheco, which the Ravens can very much do. I think the Ravens will beat the Chiefs. I think it'll be a close game, but I'm going 40-30 Ravens. And Lions and 49ers, I mean, I'm the resident 49ers hater here on this podcast. I love the 49ers. But like the Lions, I feel like the Lions have the perfect formula with the dual running back threats with Sam Laporta. And as long as Jared Goff plays mistake-free football, and we know he will, because Dan Campbell can coach him up. And like I never thought I would be able to say this, that like Jared Goff versus Brock Purdy, and I have way more faith in Jared Goff than I do Brock Purdy. so I just feel like Jared Goff is on a revenge tour against all the teams that passed over that man. So like I think it's going to be Jared Goff versus Lamar Jackson in the Super Bowl. And I think I would love to say the Lions will bring a championship to Detroit. But I just can't see them beating either the Ravens or the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But they will get there. So, and the way Dan Campbell coaches them up, they can definitely beat the Chiefs. I just don't think they can beat the Ravens, especially with the Lamar Jackson, I am him energy that's going on with the Ravens right now. So I just feel like the Ravens are going to win against the Chiefs. The Lions are going to win against the 49ers, and it'll be a Ravens-Lions Super Bowl. Baltimore-Detroit. Something I never thought I'd say, but Baltimore, Detroit.
Nice. All right, quickly, keys for the AFC Championship on CBS. As the key is for a lot of Raven games, Kansas City's got to stop the run game. They cannot let Lamar Jackson scramble, get out of their sight. They need to control the run game. For Baltimore, they can't let Kansas City receivers extend plays. That's when Patrick Mahomes is at his best. Also, drop in coverage. Do not blitz Patrick Mahomes. If you've watched Patrick Mahomes, you know he's a successful quarterback against the blitz. So that's going to be key. Until I see a team beat Patrick Mahomes, I'm not going against him. I'm taking Kansas City to beat Baltimore down. I don't know if I'm going to go 70 combined points in the game like Kylan will, but I can't. I'll go 24-21. Kansas City wins on a Butker game-winning field goal. Okay. With regards to the NFC Championship game, boy, do I want to take the Lions so bad. I really do. This is a team of destiny. Jared Goff is playing out of his mind. This team, I really want to take them. But if the weather is good in San Francisco, I can't go against Brock Purdy. I mean, the only time I've seen Brock Purdy play really poorly is, or we'll talk about this season. Yeah, there was a rain game in Cleveland. They lost. He didn't play great. Rained last week in San Francisco. Didn't play great. So I'm expecting the weather to be good this weekend in San Francisco. The team, Trent, you mentioned it, Kylan. You think Jared Goff has to play mistake-free football? I completely agree with that. But also, whoever wins the trenches is going to win this game. Both teams have great O-lines, great D-lines. Whoever wins that, it's going to be a chess match. That's who's going to win this game. I'm going with the 49ers because they're loaded. But it seems like the Lions, it's too good to be true to make the Super Bowl. Although I really want to take them, and I love Dan Campbell. I love Jared Goff. I've got to go with a rematch of Super Bowl LIV. Chiefs, 49ers in Vegas on CBS.
All right. Hey. All right. So we can move right along then. Morgan, you're on mute. You're on mute, Morgan. We can't hear you.
Always. The dog's barking. So there's a kind of weird story about this. So I'm working football on Sunday, and all of a sudden somebody comes running into our control rooms. Obviously, our pregame got pushed back because this game went into overtime. One of the producers was like, I need to find somebody that works on social. Like, we have a clear view of the hit from Caitlin Clark. And we're all like, what are you talking about? Go to find this clip of, I think it was overblown a little bit. I think it was an excited girl from Ohio State, excited fan, and a pissed off player from a losing team One girl had her head up, one girl had her head down because she was upset, and they ran into each other. And we blew this as media members so out of proportion. I do not think that girl was trying to hurt Caitlin Clark. I do not think that Caitlin Clark flopped. I think that she was not expecting to be hit. I think she got hit. She maybe, was off balance. I don't know how she flew that far, but that's not here nor there. Did she get the wind knocked out of her? Probably. I'm not going to say that she didn't. Could it have been more serious? I don't know. Maybe she could have broken her nose or something, but I don't think there's fault to be blamed. I think that girl should have not been looking at her phone. She should have been looking straight, and Caitlin should have been aware of her surroundings. That girl, this is not like that girl was the first girl that was on the court either. There was a group of people already on the court. So we knew the court was being stormed. I think at that point, you got to keep your head up and kind of look at your surroundings.
Yeah.
If you're Caitlin.
Yeah. I've seen, with court storming, I mean, if we're going to get rid of court storming, we got to get rid of field storming in college football. But yeah, I agree with you, Morgan, 100%. Hit the nail on the head. But I think I've seen these some of these schools doing a much better job, though, of separating the handshake lines from the court storming. We just got to do a little bit better job at that.
Yep, I agree, and I agree with that as well.
Yeah, I think for me, I was just looking up Caitlin's height. Caitlin is listed at 6 feet, probably like 5'10", 5'11", without sneakers. As Morgan so eloquently pointed out, and Josh did too, if you're going to get rid of court storming, you're going to have to get rid of field storming. Two things that I never did. And I wish I could, just because I never got the opportunity. I just feel like, court storming is in these college games. We've had this before. There was the thing that happened before all three of us were born with the band is on the field, like what a legendary call in college football. Like there's been a lot of this before. And I think it just, like Josh said, increased security measures. Obviously, Caitlin Clark is a superstar, so everything she's going to do is overblown. It's going to be, blown up. Obviously, that could have been worse because the girl did kind of clip her hip or knee. So that's probably what everybody was worried about, because what if that, ended Caitlin Clark's season. So obviously there was that, but she's fine, it seems like, which is good. That's like the best. We're not doing this question, but that's like the number one team in all of college football, college basketball, not football. Caitlin Clark is that girl, and they need to keep court storming, just better security, do what these colleges do when that happens, secure it off to the side, like, let the kids be kids, but like, just do a better job of security and,
protect Caitlin Clark at all costs.
Yes. Yep. And then we can go to the next one and then get to he's not him. Be quick on this one. So have we forgotten about, Morgan and I kind of alluded to this question last week. Have we forgotten about Paige Bueckers with all the Caitlin Clark hype? To me, like I said last week, and now I'll let you two go. Paige Bueckers is obviously a superstar. We joked about it last week because UConn was basically begging and thirsting for somebody to cover their caves when she scored 29 and had like 8 assists last week. So like, I just think that I think that, unfortunately for Paige, she was injured these last 2 years. So, and in there stepped Caitlin Clark, the machine, the juggernaut that she is. But Paige will have her time. She is a junior, whereas Caitlin Clark is a senior.
Yep.
So,
my girl. My girl.
Yeah. So like I'm not putting the two of them against each other. I'm just, with this question, I'm just saying that, Caitlin Clark, they're both really good. They're both going to be future superstars. The WNBA will be very, very happy between them. Aaliyah Boston, Aja Wilson. The WNBA is about to be on the billion.
About to be so fun
in these next 2 years. Not that it's
all
already.
I have
not
to say
on the billion.
is, how much fun would a UConn Iowa championship be for women?
We were just talking about this offline, Josh and I.
Oh, it'd be so fun.
So yeah, that's gonna be so fun.
And now,
our
favorite segment. He's not him, she's not her, they aren't them. Woo! The crowd goes crazy. So, Kylan, do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
Either or. I can go if you want more time.
You can go.
Okay. So for me, he's not him. Just got to stay on this man's head because he's on the news. He's in the news again. Brett Favre, what are you doing, man? Like your deposition comes out now. I don't know if either one of you saw it, but his deposition came out. And they asked him, did you steal money from welfare? Obviously, he stole money from the welfare system, from the welfare system in Mississippi, and he was like, "No, I just wanted to build the stadium." Like one of his quotes was like, "I just wanted to build the stadium and get the money. I didn't know where it was coming from." A likely story, like I. And then he was like, "My daughter then switched to beach volleyball. Then I wanted the stadium." I'm all like, "Dog, you're just making this so much worse." So at the end of like the deposition, the prosecutor asked him, like, "Why does your story and the president's of whatever college his daughter went to in Mississippi not match up?" And he was like, "I don't know." And I'm just like, "Bro, you were setting yourself up. They already know like that one of you is lying, if not both of you are lying." So like Brett Favre, I just need you to get a better lawyer. You obviously, the texts are out there. Everybody, well, maybe everybody, a lot of people are seeing them now for the first time. Like, we know that there was a plan for the money to come from the welfare system in the poor state in the country from Mississippi to build a volleyball stadium at whatever college that was. But he's not him to Brett Favre because, man, come on now. You got millions of dollars. You still got your checks from the NFL. You couldn't have done what most people do, like wink, wink, let my daughter in. I'll give y'all enough money to build a stadium like everybody else. Come on now, bro. Like, be better. Come on, man. Be better. They're not them. We just talked about it. So all the people in media and beyond that who are out here saying that court storming is dangerous just because Caitlin Clark got clipped. She's fine, thank God. Like Josh said, protect Caitlin Clark at all costs. And you just got to be better with this. We can't be old media members and be like, "Oh, court storming needs to go," because like Josh said, we're getting rid of court storming. Then we got to get rid of. I feel like it's more dangerous. Field storming is more dangerous than court storming because in the football field you're jumping down as opposed to running down. So like. I feel like that's more dangerous, but hey, maybe that's just me. For me, they're not them to them. And then the other one, this is just timing. I'm gonna just stay on the media's head, bro. Our people, right? Why are we doing? Last week it was the SI layoffs. There's been more layoffs. Business Insider, Forbes, a lot of layoffs have been coming now, and then. As if the poor timing couldn't have been worse. Jon Stewart comes out, Comedy Central comes out and says, "We're bringing Jon Stewart back," as the media members are getting laid off. And I'm just like, man, like what poor timing. For me, when I see layoffs, media, whatever, it's not, I just think it's a bad look for them to be bringing a retread while people in media are getting laid off. And this is no knock on Jon Stewart. I think he does a great job. Huge fan. But we have this problem in media where we want to lay people off and then bring in retreads or athletes, whatever. Insert it there and put money there instead of putting it into young, up and coming journalists like us three right here on this show. Just saying, call us. There is a lot going on. And I just think they're not them to the media executives and the finance bros and all these people that are over these companies that don't understand that media is not supposed to be profitable. It's supposed to inform and advise. Obviously, what all three of us do is a little bit more profitable because of sports and people have rights. But and by rights, I don't mean fight the power rights. I mean sports rights. Those are important too. Human rights are important too. I just want to be clear. That needs to be better. Go ahead, Morgan.
So I have two. My first one is Luka Doncic, whatever. And I hate that because I think he's a nice guy normally, but stop throwing fans out of the game for trash talking to you.
Oh, I forgot.
Like, what are you doing? He threw a fan out because it said, Luka, you're tired. Get your ass on the treadmill. Like, bro, you laugh at that and you walk away. You play in the NBA. You are a world-class athlete. And you know what? You do kind of look tired out there sometimes. So, I don't know. I'm just sick and tired of, like, these people paid good money. And yes, like, there are some times where things cross the line. Of course, that does not cross the line. That is just, like, saying, ref, are you blind? Like, okay, like, all that stuff. Get your head on straight. It's okay. It's okay. But, like, I just, just, like, freaking annoying. Don't throw people out because you are annoyed at them for making a comment to you. Yeah, it's annoying, but you play in the NBA, you make millions of dollars, get over it. My second one is they're not them. This is actually to, like, media as well, but it's, if you're a journalist and you're interviewing an athlete, a player, a coach, do your research. Last week, we had the reporter asking them if the weather was going to affect them in Detroit. No, they play in a dome. This week, we had somebody asking Shanahan if the 12th man, blah, blah, blah. And he said, we don't call them the 12th man here. That's a Seattle thing. So, like, that one's a little bit not as bad, but, like, come on, like, do your research. Do your research. You can say, what is the crowd noise going to sound like? Blah, 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 all that stuff. You're getting paid money to do a job. Do your research before you go and ask a question. We've seen it so much this season. So much. I feel like more than ever this season we've seen it.
Or if you're a news person and they give you the sports assignment because the sports director, budget cuts, whatever, like we just went through, just ask as a sports person in your life. Like,
ChatGPT. What question should I ask the head coach of blah, blah, blah? Like, we have so many resources for you. Don't do something stupid and embarrass yourself, and then you become a national meme.
All right, I'm excited for this. My first this segment here. I'll start with he's not him. I'll just go back to Adrian Griffin. I mean, come on, man. You were given a great roster. You started out 30-13, and you still couldn't make it past one season. Come on, man. Like, what are we doing? You got set up perfectly. You got 2 superstars or 3 superstars, excuse me, if we're including Middleton. Come on, man. Like, you have that perfectly set up for you. I'm also going to start a trend here. I don't think anyone has anyone done they are them?
Nope.
Because okay, I mean, we were supposed to, talk about college basketball, so I'm going to get my college basketball nugget in here because I watched them last night on CBS Sports Network. The New Mexico Lobos. They are them. They are them. I'm so impressed with this team. I am so impressed with this team. I've watched them a bunch of times. They are legit. I think they can make a run in the NCAA tournament if they make it there. They've got playmakers all over the court, both offensively and defensively, can make plays on both sides of the court. The New Mexico Lobos. They are them.
I love it.
Okay.
All right. Well, we, as usual, went over an hour, but that's fine. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a great championship weekend if you're a NFL watcher, if you're watching college basketball or NBA. WNBA is not playing right now. The women's college basketball. Enjoy it. Hockey is in full swing. I know it's not really Kylan's thing, but once football ends, we'll probably add some hockey in here for your girl.
That's another one. Peter Laviolette, you're not him. You are not him. Get your act together with the New York Rangers.
Shout out to the lacrosse fans. It'll be college lacrosse season soon too, right?
Yeah, there you go. This weekend, if you have some time, I am calling an all-women's broadcast on NEC Network for Sacred Heart, which will be super fun. It's our 3rd annual all females in front and behind the camera and in the control room. I actually have coordinated this event this year, so doing sideline and coordinating. So it's going to be a great event with some awesome people. So check it out if you have time. Tip is 2 p.m. on Saturday. But besides that, y'all got anything else?
Good for you, Morgan. That's great stuff. Seriously.
Thank you.
Great
stuff.
Yeah,
we're excited. We've done it the last 3 years, and it's awesome. It's really cool. And this year they're bringing back the first ever women's sport at Sacred Heart. So it should be cool.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats. Like I said, for us, and I'll let Josh go. Hey, Josh, don't forget the song where they can find you at. Thank you so much for joining as well.
Yes.
And being a part of the special 10th episode. We, as far as for me, obviously watch the football games. Syracuse, Clemson, the big thing with Joe Girard. Joe Girard coming back this week, 7:00. I believe it's a whiteout / I think Olive's Army is calling it a blizzard. So that'll be good. 7 p.m. tip for that, which would be great for me because then the Sixers and Nuggets should be wrapped up by then. So, yes, Sixers and Nuggets. Check out Joel Embiid. He'll be on a 5-game tour in your city. If you're an Indiana fan, playing tonight, the Pacers. We'll see with the new look Pacers. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's all for me. And the Eagles, we'll keep you posted on all the stuff as well. We thank and love you guys for the support, as allows people like Josh to come on up here, and we really do appreciate you for wanting to join, Josh.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. Good talking some sports. Can't wait for the next one.
Of course. Well, we will see y'all next week. Same time, same place. So see y'all next week. If you guys have any fun ideas, I will be out at the Combine for the week of that. So if you have any fun ideas or people that you are desperate to get on, I can see if we can do a quick talk to any of them, or I can go up and get some snippets and bites. So any folks out there that are dying to hear from some of these college athletes that are entering the draft, let me know.
All right.
See y'all.